Be part of this inspiring event, to support women in the community. I'm an Indonesian, raised in Texas. I'm a mom also too. And I've been serving my community for nearly 25 years. I've been volunteering also with so many different local nonprofit organizations here. So I decided to have my own nonprofit, I Dare. I Dare is pretty much a personal credo, acronym for integrity, diversity, adaptation, resilience, and empowerment, with its goal to save lives, educating, preparedness, and to be self-reliant. Serving as a president for IAW, International Association of Women, for over 6 years now, I have met so many wonderful, wonderful, talented women across the nation. And throughout the journey also, from different cultures that I travel across the globe, and meeting so many different people in walks of life, I have learned one thing, something that I'm going to share with you all, that women often underestimate their self-values and worth. I think that is a fair proclamation, ladies. All right? And I think we need to be reminded that we are the species here on Earth who are responsible for bringing humanity, right? For bringing humanity for the next generation. Let's give us a clap on that, applause for that. We have the power. We have that inner force within ourselves already. So through this sort of forum that you have, Sarah, we really truly appreciate. It's really encouraging and empowering. Thank you all.
As she said, I'm Vivica Fox. I'm an actress, producer, philanthropist, all-around homegirl, and now a new talk show host. And I have a show called Face the Truth. And I'm also an author. I'm in an amazing new chapter of my life right now with my book, where it's called Every Day I'm Hustling. I share my secrets of success, that I understand how hard it is to achieve success. I am a very proud woman in my 50s that is having an amazing research. Yes, girl. And I'm having this amazing resurgence in my career, where this new chapter of my life, where I'm helping others. That it's not just all about me, that I feel so good on my talk show and in my book, where I tell others, learn to get out of your own way and be the best that you can possibly be. Yeah. And I'm all about girl power. And
Hey, thank you for this incredible opportunity to be here in Valencia. I call it the Magic Mountain area, right? Bring me back 45 years. I have the honor, I came from Irvine. I run the Women in Housing Girls ecosystem. I'm the CEO and president, and we represent from poverty and homelessness all the way to homeownership, business owners, all the way to C-suite women. And I met Sarah a couple years ago, and I'm so honored to be here to introduce her tonight, because the impact of what they're doing to get more women in the government place, but also to bring the issues over here. So thank you very much. And so she is the president and CEO of the Republican Main Street Partnership. She leads an organization that supports the governing wing of the Republican Party in Congress. She's the only woman in the country who serves as the CEO of a major Republican organization. She spent over 2 decades, first as a CFO, then as CEO, and has built a Republican Main Street Partnership from a flagship organization to a thriving network of almost 80 members of Congress and prominent leaders from across the business education industry. So I want to welcome Sarah to the panel to lead us up today, because this is really about what's going on in the industry and making sure that we have a seat at the table at all times. So thank you very much for having this introduction. And we're going to go ahead and have the moderator to bring us up and go forward.
So thank you. Thank you so much for the kind introduction. But tonight, I'm not the CEO of Main Street. I'm just a woman who is passionate about engaging women in the whole political system. And we're really just thrilled to be here with all of you. So, good evening, ladies, and welcome.
Good evening.
You are so good at that. Can you come to every But we're very excited to be here in Santa Clarita. We showed up because we said count me in, and so did you. So give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. And I know a lot of traffic, so I'm really sorry about that. But I started the tour in 2014, and the mission is really simple. The tour serves as a forum to exchange ideas and talk about the issues that matter most to us and to our families, and how we can better connect what happens in our nation's capital to here in our communities. According to the National Association of Women Business Owners, there are more than 11.6 million firms nationwide and women-owned. There are almost 7,000 right here in this great city. Yay, thank you so much. We applaud you. Oh, go ahead. No. Okay, this is a little bit more. Thanks. We applaud you. This is just one of those times. So we applaud you and your spirit, your backbone for our local economy. Unfortunately, women-owned firms are growing more slowly and earning less than male-owned firms. According to Fortune, women received just 2% of the venture capital funding in 2016. And here's the key one. Women are making only 80 cents for every dollar a man makes. Boo. New research shows that this gender pay gap goes beyond our paychecks. It affects stock options as well. For every $1 in a company equity held by a man, women only hold 47 cents. A gap is bad. A gap is a gap. The pay inequality is real. And we're going to actually talk about that. We have a couple questions on that. And ladies, it's time that we're counted in. This is unacceptable. In the United States, there are more CEOs named John than there are female CEOs nationwide. And when I saw this statistic, I have a brother whose name is John. And you know what? He's actually a CEO. So I'm like, so every issue that affects America is a woman's issue. We all know that. And it's time we are counted in on the conversation. Tonight, we've gathered an esteemed group of women who serve as a panelist. Thank you. These ladies represent. So most of you have submitted your questions for discussion, and I know we are thrilled to be addressing them and speaking with you tonight. We will try to get through all of them. Now I'd like to welcome tonight's moderator from SCTV here in Santa Clarita, Tammy Edwards.
Good evening. I am Tammy Edwards. I am a Santa Clarita Valley native. I've been here since 1971, and I have to admit that Gloria Mercado Fortine has me beat on that. When were you born? Long time ago. Oh, you're right. Let me tell you something. This woman looks 30 years younger than her age. She's awesome. You are such a woman. So anyway, a little bit about me. I am a mother of 4. I'm a business owner here in town, and I'm a volunteer co-anchor SCV today at SCVTV. I created the show to elevate and promote our nonprofit and all the nonprofit events that went on in our community. And that's kind of my story. As you just heard from our president and founder of the Women2Women Conversations Tour, Sarah, it's time to be counted in. It's definitely time to be counted in. I'm going to share a story with you. I'm a co-owner of a business. I co-own this with a man. I can't tell you how many times a day I hear this. Maybe I need to speak with your business partner. Okay, go ahead. He's going to send you right back to me because the buck stops here.
That's right. Head chicken charge.
That's right. And when I heard about this, and I was asked to be a part of this, I researched a little bit, and that kept ringing in my ears. That I had worked so hard. 6 years ago, I was homeless. I was homeless with 4 children, and today I run one of the top real estate teams in the country. And yet I am still put in the corner. Little girl, can I talk to your daddy? No more. It's time to ladies? I want y'all to stand up. Everybody stand up. I'm going to say, what time is it? And you guys are going to reply with, it's time to be counted in. You ready? What time is it?
It's time to be counted in.
What time is it?
It's time to be counted in.
I can't hear you guys.
It's time to be counted in.
So tonight we gather, and you guys can sit. Tonight we gather all the people who want to speak with you. Our panelists and you, our audience members, they truly represent America. You are business owners, mothers, business leaders, community leaders, and entrepreneurs. Most of you have submitted your questions for discussion, and I know that our panelists are thrilled to be addressing those. To kick off tonight's event, please welcome again Sarah Chamberlain, the Vivica A. highly acclaimed actress, activist, and businesswoman. Who else is a little starstruck tonight? It's okay, we can admit it. And we haven't gotten our photo yet. When you hit
Gotcha, girl.
Okay. And then we have Nicky Dare, sweet Nicky Dare, president of the International Association of Women Santa Clarita Chapter. And someone that I consider to be one of my mentors, Gloria Mercado Fortine, president and CEO of Global Education Solutions. So I would like to ask the panel to briefly introduce themselves. And Sarah, I'm going to let you kick that off.
Well, you pretty much heard about me, but on a little bit of a personal note. I'm a mom and a little girl, which is one of the reasons why I do this tour. And I'm actually a widow. I lost my husband to pancreatic cancer a few years ago. And another reason why I'm on this tour, because as we said when we were introduced, I am literally the only woman that does what I do. And it's time that I stop saying that, frankly. I need many women around because you know what? And again, this is not political, but women run the best damn political campaigns too on either side.
Okay, it's my turn. Well, I think a lot of you know me. I grew up here, and I'm an educator by profession and by heart. I love it. I have spent a lifetime mentoring young women as an educator. And as many of you know, that I served on the William S. Hart High School District Board for 16 years and 10 before that at the Cascade Elementary School. And been very involved in nonprofits and starting many wonderful nonprofits here in the Valley, again, to support youth, but to support young women and women. With that.
First of all, I'm deeply humbled to be here with you all. How are you guys doing? Yeah. Pretty good, right? Be part of this inspiring event, to support women in the community. I'm an Indonesian, raised in Texas. I'm a mom also too. And I've been serving my community for nearly 25 years. I've been volunteering also with so many different local nonprofit organizations here. So I decided to have my own nonprofit, I Dare. I Dare is pretty much a personal credo, acronym for integrity, diversity, adaptation, resilience, and empowerment, with its goal to save lives, educating, preparedness, and to be self-reliant. Serving as a president for IEW, International Association of Women, for over 6 years now, I have met so many wonderful, talented women across the nation. And throughout the journey also, from different cultures that I've traveled across the globe, and meeting so many different people, walks of life, I have learned something that I'm going to share with you all. That women often underestimate their self-values and worth. I think that is a fair proclamation, ladies. All right? And I think we need to be reminded that we are the species here on Earth who are responsible for bringing humanity,
right? For bringing humanity for the next generation. Let's give us a clap on that, applause for that. We have that inner force within ourselves already. So through this sort of forum that you have, Sarah, we really truly appreciate it. It's really encouraging and empowering. Thank you all.
She said, I'm Vivica Fox. I'm an actress, producer, philanthropist, all-around homegirl, and now a new talk show host. And yes, I have a new show out called Face the Truth. And I'm also an author. I'm in an amazing new chapter of my life right now with my book where it's called Every Day I'm Hustling. I share my secrets of success, that I understand how hard it is to achieve success. I am a very proud woman in my 50s that is having an amazing research. Yes, girl. Oh, and I'm having this amazing resurgence in my career, where this new chapter of my life, where I'm helping others. That it's not just all about me, that I feel so good on my talk show and in my book, where I tell others, learn to get out of your own way and be the best that you can possibly be. And I'm all about girl power and keep doing it.
Okay? So, ladies, you guys have already kind of touched on this question, but we'd like you to share with us how you became involved with your current role, and what are you most excited about sharing with us tonight? And I'm going to kind of switch that question up a little bit, but what if somebody can leave here tonight thinking one thing differently, what would that one thing be? So, Gloria, I'm going to start with you.
Sure. I would say, and I think a lot of you know this because I think there's so many of you out there that have been so successful. But you have a dream, you pursue it. You work hard and no one can tell you you can't do it. But your thinking is, I can do it. I can do anything. And yes, you have to prepare, yes, you have to work hard, but you can do it. Okay, a dream is only a dream until you put actions behind it.
Agreed.
I think I just have one thing to say. For some reason, I believe in this. I believe in this so truly. That somehow all of us here are connected in this room. Won't you agree? Yeah. We're all in this together, ladies. We're all in this together. So support each other, empower each other, encourage each other to count me in. You know, those who didn't show up today, that's fine. Just, reach out to them and encourage them and empower them. That's all I have to say. We're all in this together, ladies.
For myself, I just as an actress for so many years, I want people to come to my movies, support my shows, and it was all about me. And like I was just saying, this new chapter for me is me giving back, letting my community know that I care about them. So the main reason I think that I'm here tonight is to enlighten, inspire, and encourage others to live your best life. There's so many times that we go through different chapters of life, and my daddy had a good saying. He said, when a chapter is over, learn to put a period on the page and turn it. Right? So I really had to learn that. Get out of my own way and turn the page. And to look forward to receive my blessings. If I keep on looking backwards, I'm going to bump my head and not be able to receive the blessings that are in front. She's like, amen, amen. So yes, but I want all of the ladies here after tonight that we are all going to leave here tonight and look forward to our blessings.
Well, these three are really tough to follow. My God. But I would say is you can do anything. It's kind of what the three have said, and try it. So I meet a lot of women through my business, and there's like a checklist of 10, and if they don't have 9 of them, they don't think they can do it. And a man will come in and have 1 of them, and he thinks he can do it. Like, no, we have got to realize we can do anything. And as I tell my daughter, we can do anything plus
populate the world with television.
Okay, we're going to hop into some questions. The first one is for Vivica, and this is a two-part question.
Okay.
We all know you from television and movies, but you're also a savvy businesswoman who just launched her own talk show. As you transitioned from actress to businesswoman, did you have a mentor that helped you along the way? And also, how can we help more young women who are preparing to enter the workforce?
I became successful because I have a wonderful business partner. Her name is Lita Richardson. Lita Richardson, I'll never forget that. I'll make the story quick. I met Lita years ago at a party on Paramount Studios, and I'll show you how life goes around so quickly. And I remember me and her, I was kind of like there by myself, and she was there. And she was just chilling. We just kind of struck up a conversation. And I asked her, I said, so what do you do? And she says, I'm a lawyer. And I was like, wow. She was a gorgeous girl. What I thought of lawyers were like men, suits. And I was just like, you're a lawyer? And she's like, yes, take my card. And she asked, what do I do? And I said, well, I'm an actress, a young actress. She says, well, if you ever need any help, here's my card. So we always stayed in touch. So we would see each other at all of these different events. And whenever I would see her, I kind of forgot her name, and I would always be like, hey, it's the pretty lawyer. And she's like, Lita. And so then eventually I started becoming successful, and I needed to get a corporation for my business, because now I have a production company called Foxy Round Productions, and for, to be in business and Texas, in California. Right, you already know. You need to get that corporation going on. So she said, I will help you get incorporated. We have now been working together for over 20 years. Lita has brought so many wonderful opportunities for me that I didn't even see for myself. One of the main reasons now why I'm an author, why I have a talk show, why I'm a producer, is because I had a wonderful sister who was in my life that was like, okay, Vivica, we've greenlit 5 movies in a row. So the next film, guess what we're doing? We're going to get another credit, and you're going to get another check. So I was like, yes, another check and a credit, yes, that works for me. So for me, it was having a wonderful partner that knew the business. She told me that, Vivica, you're in a business called show business. The more that you know about the business behind the show, the longer of a career that you will have. It's been absolutely correct. And then the second part of the question was?
How can we help more young women who are preparing to enter the workforce?
And then I always look out for Generation Next. I do a lot of motivational speaking. I let them know they've got next. And I explain to Generation Next that they have to know that the choices that they make today affect tomorrow and for the rest of their lives. They have to make good choices. Just because someone may not understand your choices, it's okay. I have another saying, make your haters your congratulations. Just because they may not get you, okay, one day they will be like, girl, you was right. So I always look to Generation Next to make good choices.
Wonderful. I'm going to add on to that. For the first part of that, I want to point out that there was a beautiful woman that Vivica met, and she chose to be collaborative, not competitive.
Yes, exactly.
This is my latest phrase. I
love that.
But when us ladies choose to be collaborative and stop being so freaking competitive, the world is ours. Because let me tell you something, the men, they laugh at us.
Can I just piggyback on that? Especially in the show business. You notice how they always have the women catfighting, and they just love to see a good old cat fight. That now, the reason why you're seeing such quality entertainment is because we're not catfighting that much anymore. There's a different genre for that. But the reason why you're seeing quality entertainment is because women are sticking together. We are writing, producing, and employing each other. We have learned together that there's much more power.
You are the founder of the Women2Women Conversations Tour. You've done many tour stops nationwide. You have heard many of the same issues and concerns being brought up at each. Can you share some of those with us?
Sure. So overall, the top 3 are healthcare, It's access to health care, it's opioid crisis, it's safety issues, and it's mental health. We have a mental health crisis in this country. So those are our top ones. And then it kind of varies by area from there. I was really surprised when we were in Charlotte. Domestic violence is a huge issue down there. And then some of our places it's trafficking. So I'll be interested to see tonight at the end when we survey all of you what your biggest issue is here.
Thank you. Our next question is for Nicky. Nicky is the president of the International Association of Women in Santa Clarita. Our audience member, Sabrina, wants to know how we can bring more empowerment to the women in our community.
That's a good question right there. That's a good point. There are many ways to bring empowerment to our community, but here's some of the few that I can think of right now is through leadership programs, mentoring. And Vivica mentioned about business partner mentoring. You gotta have to have a mentor if you're a business person, you know. And also through networking. The value of networking is really incredibly important, you guys, to the success of whatever you do, you know, especially in business. Empowering women in the community. Now, I want to say this also. The design of this principal tenet evolved to help continue to educate simply because the perspective is already globally. Now, whose business out here that is not affected directly with international, with the global business market? I was aerospace industry, right? Yeah, I mean, let's talk about digital technology. How cool is that? I can't keep up with that. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Everything is just growing exponentially. Everything. So you gotta get in there. And that's one of the ways to closing the gap. The 25-year gap that we've been talking about, that we know about this, you know? So growing through collaboration, growing the networking together globally. So that's all I have to say about that. Thank you.
Our next question is for you, Gloria. Gloria is president of the Global Education Solutions. Our audience member, Gina, wants to know what efforts exist or could be initiated to help mothers, particularly single mothers, obtain career education and workforce training.
Well, single mothers as a group, I don't think it's a secret, but they are, you know, the largest group at the poverty level. Okay? You know, and there are various reasons for this, but it really does affect their children as well. But they're primarily the caregiver. They have to look after the children. So they may not have the education, the resources. So it's very difficult. And I'm glad to be working with various organizations that really go out there and support other women, and that's very important. But I will say, as an educator, that education is so important. It really does help level the playing field. And so I think there's much to be done in terms of providing more resources, certainly mentoring programs, apprenticeship programs, but also financial support. So some of these women who may be interested in business, opening up their own business, that they have that resource. The other thing is, it's amazing as I'm out and about and talking to women, is that they don't know what opportunities exist out there. They truly don't. They don't know that there's grants. They don't know that they could go at the community college and sign up. They don't know that there's, low tuition, or there's ways to get free education. They don't know. And so it's important to network. And I think that as women, you said collaboration. We need to collaborate. We need to be a support for each other. Also, in this, and I could go on and on, but I won't. But also women, we also need to kind of think out of the box, too. That there are jobs out there that are non-traditional. Not your typical pink-collar jobs that don't pay much, right? The part-time jobs and things like this. But non-traditional jobs, and using your skills out there. It may be business. It may be going into an area of welding and robotic welding. And, I mean, there's so many opportunities out there, but again, it does start with educating yourself.
Thank you so much. I also want to mention that Gloria Mercado Fortine is our Santa Clarita Valley Woman of the Year. I mentioned that I lost. It was such a pleasure to be nominated. So this next question is for you, Sarah. What is being done on a national level to provide more opportunities?
Sure. So, as a result of this Women2Women Tour, we've actually introduced and passed in a bipartisan way legislation. And we sat on the stage just like this about 2 years ago. And a woman asked the question about Pell Grants. And she said, why can't you get a Pell Grant in the summer? And I'm sorry, we all kind of looked at each other like, I don't know. We had no idea what was happening. I will tell you, about 2 weeks ago, President Trump signed the law. You can now get a Pell Grant year-round. So those are just the things that are out there that, of course, nobody probably knows that legislation passed and was signed. But that's an important one. You can go through school now at a little bit quicker pace. The other thing is there's a lot of money out there for training, not just on the federal level, but also on the state and also on some of the union areas that they pay for the training. And I will tell you the one field that we hear constantly that is needed, especially women in it, is artificial intelligence. It is becoming a huge field. I'm a member of Congress. There is a member of Congress, Will Hurd, who is kind of the champion of this. He's a former CIA agent, and I cannot believe these stats. 12 women last year graduated with an artificial intelligence type degree. That's it in the whole country. So we got to do more, ladies. And then, of course, we have STEM, money for STEM. We do a lot of STEM education in schools, and we try to focus that on the women as well.
Thank you. Vivica, our next question comes from our audience member, Lana. How do you make yourself stand out in a competitive industry?
I pay attention. I do. I think that sometimes, well, no, I'm sure about this, that people achieve success, and then it's like, I've made it. Well, then you've got to realize what you got next. What's next? Because especially being in entertainment, or if you're in a business, things are going to keep moving, and they're going to keep moving forward. And as you said, they're moving forward at a very rapid pace. So I make sure that I pay attention to what's happening, and I always try to figure out how I can fit in that fits my brain, that makes me comfortable. There's certain things that I will do and certain things that I won't do because I know that it will damage the brain of Vivica Fox. So I always pay attention, gosh, this whole social media, this whole thing drives me bananas. You know what I mean? It does. You gotta post, you gotta do this, but you gotta pay attention to, even though sometimes you see some of the posts, you're like, that's hot right now? Okay. It may not work for me, but I pay attention to what's going on. I've always loved magazines and reading and finding out about things that are different from me and expanding my horizons and learning about others. So the main thing I can say is pay attention. Because if you don't pay attention, most of the time you'll get left.
So you don't become complacent, you practice your craft.
Absolutely.
And
I work hard at my craft. I never get complacent.
Would you say that that's a big mistake that we see many women make, is they think, okay, I'm here, and then they stop?
Yes, they do. Like, I'm good. And not realizing that, in a way, honestly, I feel bad for the generation now that they're so fulfilled by likes. Do you know what I mean? Because they have, I know she's like, amen, because they have no idea that, okay, then what do you have next? You know what I mean? Because sooner or later, they're going to be looking for the next hot one or the next, it's just the life. And I share this in my book that you have to figure out how to gracefully go to different chapters of your life so that you're happy and productive. And so I kind of figured out, I did that, okay, what do we have next? for me, after I went from being like the hot chick running with the dog and the hair and Independence Day and Will Smith and all of that, then I had to produce. Then from becoming a producer, then I had to start branding. Then for branding, then I had to direct. And then I became an author. So I was able to, because I tell people also, build yourself a dream squad. Build yourself a squad of people that are positive, that get you, and see opportunities for you that you didn't see for yourself. And create jobs for you. She's like, yes,
yes. Okay, so I have to tell you, I'm actually a CPA and an MBA, and I'm like the pocket protector type of accountant. And if I didn't have to leave my office, I'd be thrilled. However, 2 years ago, I hired a woman. Actually, my chief of staff picked her out, and it got down to 2 of them, and I hired this woman. And that's why we're here today. Her name is Sharon. She's in the back. And she's like, you can do this. You're going to go out there and
hey, Sharon!
I love Sharon. But I'll tell you, there are days that I yell at that poor woman. I'm like, I cannot do this. Oh my God, I'm an accountant. But you're right. You just kind of move on to the next chapter of your life. And I'm finding, because I'm passionate about this, that this really is kind of the next chapter of my life. And you're right, you gotta find that person that is there who's encouraging you, and mine is in the back. So.
And seize new chapters for you. Because, you know, sometimes, like, I never thought that I could become an author. When my publicist came to me about that, I was like, you're gonna give me another job? Like, because I'm, you know, and he says, no, Vivica, I will introduce you to a publicist, a book company, and they'll take you through this. Because I was like, I've got more living to do. I'm not, no, wait. And he says, do a motivational memoir to inspire others. And it's been wonderful. So get people that get you, that want you to be productive, that don't take from you. I think as women, that's one biggest thing that we have to learn. And y'all understand when I say the statement. Don't let people be in your life that are dragging down your nipples. Just sucking all the life out of you. Do you know what I mean? Just dragging them down. Like, look here. Come on, get this back from me and fill these back up and feel good about it. You understand? So when I say that for a reason because, you know, women, we feed. We nurture, you know what I'm saying? But you just get them takers that baby dad just drag them on down to the ground if you allow them to. So I'm hearing this. I share that, like, get on.
So what I'm hearing is it's okay to get that chip off your shoulder and build a tribe. And it's kind of ironic because that person in my life happens to be my daughter, who's sitting in the front row here. Yeah, she's like, even on the way over here, she's like, Mom, you got this.
That's your daughter? Wow!
But what's... Yeah, I know we have...
I love it!
But what's really funny, Vivica, is she literally did suck the life out of me.
You did it! Like, no, I'm serious. I mean, I just call it like, and besides that, they're just takers. They're people in life that'll they'll just take. And those aren't people born for it.
As a business owner, I have to constantly say, you know what? They're productive, but they're accounting for the office. We have to let them go.
It's okay to say no.
And the commanding officer, Tammy Edwards, which happens to be Lindsay, she will very quickly point those answers out to me. So
Good girl. Good girl.
Okay, next question is for Gloria. Gloria, what ways can we work together to empower young women and girls in all career fields, including STEM?
Okay, and now you know that we call it STEAM in the schools, but STEM because we added the arts, but you know, we still have to fight those barriers, those threats, and what I'm talking about are those stereotypes. And you know, research shows that, you know, kids, I mean, 6 and 7 years old, girls are, you know, they're told they can't do this, or it's maybe not the thing, it's not popular.
Girls don't do that.
Girls don't do that. It's, you know, that type of thing. So, you know, girls take that in. So we still have to fight that. But there are good things going on. There really are, because I think that the schools, certainly in our community, we are about making sure that we're encouraging girls into STEM. The other thing is we need to demystify what that means. What does that mean? Right? Because parents don't even know, and here we're out there educating our kids and encouraging girls, but they don't know. So we need to do a lot more work in that. But as our girls go through, we need to encourage them to explore, to be curious, to put things together, you know, beyond the Legos. Legos are great, but beyond the Legos. You know, and as we move through, you know, I know that the schools were trying to integrate, obviously, a lot more of those skills and that curriculum in the schools. But, you know, girls, even at the university level, at colleges, they don't feel like they're being accepted either. We need to do a lot more recruitment. We need to identify a lot more mentors that are in the STEM careers and really connect them, really provide that support. So we need to do a lot more of that. You know, I had a neighbor, and Gus was an engineer, and so he did a great job of working with his daughter. And his daughter, and this is like, you know, this is 10 years ago, and his daughter, you know, I mean, he says, well, she would say, yeah, my friends think I'm nerdy, but she had such an interest in engineering. That's what she did. And she's a very successful engineer working for some top company in San Francisco. But so we have to be mentors to our girls, so they feel comfortable and they get into those STEM careers.
And when you say that, you mean that you want them to choose careers that they normally wouldn't choose. Yeah, because there's so many more opportunities for women, because there's things that we don't do.
Oh, that's a male's male world. You know, I don't belong there. And but it can be anything. You know, be an entrepreneur. You know, we think that as a male type of job or a field, right? And so girls, you know, I'd say don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to enter these fields.
So I have a funny story about Legos that you mentioned. So there's now a type of Legos that's a little bit more focused on girls, which are fantastic. I can't think of exactly what they're called. But my brother, who I already said is the CEO, John, he knows the family through his work. So Legos is owned by a family. It's not a publicly owned company. And he was engaging with the CEO, and he said, you know, my niece, my daughter, loves Lego friends, loves Legos. She doesn't want dolls, she wants these Legos. And he said, let me tell you how the Legos for girls came about. He said, my secretary said, you know, you should have something for girls. You have all of this stuff, and it's really for boys. And I have granddaughters, and they want Legos. It's the #1 selling part of Legos today is all those friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Is it, Sharon, since you're the commanding officer of all this, is it okay if I ask my own question? Real quick?
She's in charge.
Sarah, I'm going to start with you. Maybe you can answer this. But how do we as women let and educate men that what we're doing here today is not about demeaning men? This is about just being equal. Because I can't tell you how many people are like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? And because they're afraid. I think they're afraid. But it's not, listen, I love my husband. Like, I have no problem with men at all. And I love men in power. But I just want to be equal. So how do we bridge that gap between me and these women that are crazy to just take us seriously?
So, that's a great question, by the way. So I am the CEO of Main Street because though he's gone to God, I had an incredible husband who was like, he changed his career. He was in Intel for the country. and he wanted to leave Washington and go out and run a field office for an agency that has initials that starts with a C, and because they are all over. And I said, I want to stay in DC. I really like my career. And he looked at me and said, it took him some time. We discussed this over dinner. He's like, okay. He said, I'll go and do something else, and I'll stay in Washington so you can have your career. So that's incredible. That's very few men that do that. And it was funny, we were having kind of a discussion about men, and I'll tell you, now dating is just a nightmare. Oh my God. We have to teach these men that it's okay for women to be CEOs, but
be strong.
And to be strong, and that we're not a threat to them. We actually compliment them. I mean, they pretend they like strong women, but as I was sharing a story before we started, the gentleman I currently am not so sure he really does. It's been a rough couple days. But you know, I'm going to just put on my hat of the CEO of Main Street for a minute. So I've got 80 members, most of them are men, and they really do support women. There was how do you describe it? So there was a committee. There's a committee in Congress that decides where the members of Congress sit. It's called a steering committee. There were no women on the steering committee. And the men of Main Street were like, well, that's ridiculous. We're run by a woman, we have to have a woman. And there's a woman named Susan Brooks. I'm not sure if she was stretching or she was raising her hand to volunteer, but she made a movement. And the men looked at her and said, okay, we're going to nominate you. So they ended up 42 of them, because there's one vote, one person, one vote. 42 of them voted for her to go on the steering committee. She got the most votes because there were 4 others, and she's the only woman on the steering committee. So, and it is arguably the most powerful committee because it does do a lot of committee assignments. So my men are coming along, but I'll tell you what, one thing they mostly share are incredible wives. And I swear to God, the wives, educate them, and I'll tell you, you have a member out here that we won't talk about his name, but we were down on a trip, and I raised money. And that's kind of the big thing I do. And he was going to play golf with a group of people who had kind of paid, not really paid, but kind of to play. And he didn't want to do it. And his wife looked at him and said, I am sure that Sarah's put you in a foursome, and you better get out there and play. And sure enough, he did. I'm like, sweet. But they all have strong women, so we slowly have to bring the men along, and you know what? If they don't come along, they're not worth it, and hopefully someday they come back. But we have to know the men that are worth spending our time with and the men that are not.
Thank you. This next question is for you. On the federal level, how can we work with legislators to increase support in this area?
In Santa Clarita.
In Santa Clarita. They didn't give me many details. I'm going to say probably here.
I think that would probably be snap.
No, it's a question for Sarah.
All right, Sarah, again. Okay.
On the federal level, how can we work with legislators to increase support in this area? We can totally skip it.
Okay, I don't even know.
Sharon.
Sharon's gone. Sharon. Oh, there she comes back. Sharon.
You're in trouble. Let's go to Nicky. Nicky, our audience member Marion says that she sees female versus female jealousy way too often. How can we better support each other?
I got a good one, so let me see if I can answer this. Jealousy. Jealousy, by definition, is unhappy, angry feeling, a wanting to have something that someone else has. And I think jealousy is, first of all, it's not just woman versus woman. I mean, I want to say this. Jealousy can be through siblings, brothers and sisters, through your parents, mom and dad, through spouses. You know, husband and wife can be jealous of each other, you know, for their probably success, right? Making more money and stuff like that. Also, neighbors perhaps. So jealousy is not just, not just woman versus woman. I want to say that. And it is a personal choice. It is a decision that you make to be jealous. You know, we have no control of that. But here's what we can do though on the other side, right? We, just like anything else in life, we can, it's the way we respond, it's the way we react, how we react to this that makes all the big difference, right? I want to throw this out to you. I thought about the word envy. Who knows the definition of envy? Envy is almost like a very thin line with jealousy, right? It's a desire, yes. Okay. It's a desire to want to have something that's better, but it's not so much as jealousy. So, my takeaway with this is that, it's the way you respond is the key, is the way you react. I went through some of this, and you know what I can give you advice on? Treat them with kindness. Treat them with politeness. See how that goes, all right? Because I want to get back to this mentality of crabs in the bucket. Who knows what I'm talking about?
We know in the Black community, we know. Okay.
Crabs in the bucket, right? Crabs in the bucket. How does it go? Crabs stepping on each other's head, trying to get out of the bucket, right? No one wins. We talk about collaboration, not competitive. And it's not our fault, to be honest with you. Really think about that. Because we have been trained to be competitive at an early age, haven't we? But now we want to change that tone. We start talking about collaboration. We should support each other. We should support each other. This is where the empowerment comes in. So the takeaway, I want to say this. Happiness is the new rich. Alright? Peace is a new success, ladies. And kindness is a new cool. Alright, thank you.
I love it.
Sarah, you are a single mom working full-time in a male-dominated field. Our audience member, Clarissa, wants to know, what are some suggestions for reducing the guilt women tend to feel when their work-life balance isn't perfect?
So I'm never perfect at this. I fail regularly, but I bring my daughter into the equation. She understands I'm a CEO. She's very proud of that in her own kind of little way. We were at Disney, and I took her in the hall of presents, and she looked at me and she said, she's about 7. She looked at me and she said, how come there's no women? I said, well, there hasn't been one yet. And her little girlfriend looked at her, honest to God, she said, well, women aren't allowed to be in charge. And Jordan is a little spitfire like her mom, and she looked at her and she put her hands on her hips and she said, I've been in my mother's office, I know she's in charge. I'm like, let's move on. But I talked to Jordan and I tell her, I'm like, listen, I can't do A and B, but I can do one of them, and I'll do it 100%, but you pick. So I kind of bring her into the equation, and like tonight, I talked to her before she went to bed. She's on the East Coast. She also has, I'm fortunate that I have my parents who are still young enough, they come and take care of her. But she was super excited. She's like, I can't wait to hear about the tour stop and what everybody says. So I have to bring her into it, and she knows. I mean, I do the best I can, but I just can't be there all the time. And I don't feel guilty about that, to be honest.
But I think the main thing that for children is like if you communicate with them and let them understand instead of just like, communication is key. If they understand, I think that's so cool that I do bring her to work, she sees her mommy work, all that good stuff. So that's awesome.
So we used to still watch me on TV. I was now doing a local TV, and there was the beach. Or she could have watched me on TV. I got back. I'm like, well, what do you think? She said, I went to the beach.
But she get a TV, aren't you?
That's true. Tell her that next time.
Yes. And you watch it together. There you go. Yeah.
Gloria, our audience member Roxanne wants to know, are there any local programs available for free tuition for students going to college?
Wow, that's an excellent question. We have some experts out there. Yes, there are. Actually, our wonderful community college, College of the Canyons, for example, and there's a few other community colleges up and down the state, but we have a program called First Year Promise. And First Year Promise is for students who who just can't afford it. I mean, they're challenged. There's challenges there, and they come in, and their tuition is taken care of. There's resources, for transportation. There's resources for textbooks. It's really textbooks, are very, very expensive. But I have to say though, a community college is the best deal in town. $46 a unit. You can't beat that. But still, that can be challenging for many students, especially those who are just getting in, and so first year promise. But there are other resources. I mean, obviously there's federal aid, but again, there are. It's important to know what's out there. There are so many wonderful organizations in our community that have scholarships. Zonta, for example, Young Women in Public Affairs, Seroptimus. I mean, there are resources out there, and again, it goes back to we need to communicate that to our women, to our young girls.
Thank you, Gloria. The next question is for all of you. Vivica, we'll start with you. Monique in our audience wants you to describe one of your biggest failures. One of your biggest failures, if you've ever had one. One of your biggest failures. What lessons did you learn, and how did it contribute to a greater success?
Okay, I can be honest. I suck at relationships. I do. It's because I'm just such a workaholic, and then I just, for the longest time, just picked the wrong guys to like. I love me some bad boys. Sits back and smiles. It's got me in trouble all the time. So, it did. I was like, the flesh is weak.
So my daughter's not alone.
If you want to know, I'm picking the wrong ones. So now, I'm taking the time, and I know I'm talking to myself, y'all, that I'm telling myself to take the time to really get to know someone, to make sure that the next person I date can be my partner, doesn't make me feel bad about who I am, how much I work, and doesn't take my kindness for a weakness. So for me, I would say my biggest, career-wise, I'm thrilled. I've made excellent choices, but I just have to get better at dating. I'm not saying, trust me. I've hitched my wagon to a couple of wrong ones, so I'm trying to get better, y'all. Yeah, I too failed at that, so.
Let us all interview the next one.
You said what?
Let us all interview the next one.
I will. I'll be like, what do you all think? Yeah.
Nicky?
Relationship as well. I learned it the hard way. And, when I was a little, my parents said, no, don't use this one. And, of course,
whenever your parents say,
yes,
you just make it be like,
you know how that goes.
I'm making she's the one.
Right, exactly. All of that takes consequences. So I made it hard. Started all over again, and I met, this gentleman, of course, when I relocated to Southern California. And here I am, 23 years with him. Almost 25. No, almost 25, 24. And, it's something that I have envisioned what I want to do since I was a little girl, doing things together, for example, adventures together. I envision myself wrote a journal about, what I'm going to do if I have a family and all of this. In fact, I want to throw this in. I did have a journal. My mom still keeps this. I wrote down, envisioning myself, like a roadmap, ladies, you know this, right? When you're 20s, 30s, 40s, and 50s. In my 20s, before 30, I said in my journal, and I'm glad I adjusted that really quick, I want to have a family with 10 kids. I don't know what I was thinking, ladies. That was when I was a teenager. But I started my business when I was 21, consulting business. So I said, wow, only have 2 kids, 29 and 22-year-olds. So, one of the failures is relationship, because women, we juggle so many different roles, and then we tend to forget that we're also responsible wife and loving wife at home, and be committed also with our partner, spouse. So I'll piggyback what you said. Yeah.
Gloria?
Relationship.
Okay, well, I have a wonderful, loving husband who's just fabulous. So my relationship
Good for you, girl.
wonderful.
He's like, I'm right here, girls, okay?
He's going to take the credit.
Yes.
And my number 1 mentor and supporter.
See what I'm saying? That's what I gotta learn to look for, okay? Somebody who's got all those qualifications, right? It makes you right partner.
Yeah. Exactly. But you know what? I've had so many failures. But I think it's the way I've looked at it in terms of failures, that failure is not fatal. Okay? So just because you fail doesn't mean that's the end of things. You pick yourself up and you go again. And I'll relate some things to whether, in my jobs, whether competing for various positions, and as a principal, as a superintendent, you have to, you're like, well, this is what I want, that's my dream, and you don't get it immediately, and you fail. I run for elected offices, and I've won, but I've also failed, didn't make it. But I think you hold true to what you believe, to your values, and what you believe you offer. And so I take those experiences, and I think it's really made me a stronger woman. And really, isn't that life? That's the journey. That's part of the journey, right? That we have those experiences. So I am grateful for the wins and the losses, because I think it's just made me a stronger person.
It makes me think of one of my favorite sayings: God's rejection is God's protection.
Exactly. Agreed. That's great.
Sarah, how about you?
So I've had many. I would tell you Main Street is actually the only job I've ever had. I started doing this out of college, and I made really some crucial errors in fundraising and things I didn't know. But I'll tell you, I think my biggest failure, was, to be honest, I'm really not the best boss. We struggle with relationships with men. I'm tough on myself, and I'm tough on my staff, and I need to be a little bit better with that, because they work hard, and I don't pay enough attention to them sometimes, because I get into my world and I'm busy and my phone is ringing, and I'm like, oh my god, and then like, oh shoot, so-and-so's birthday was yesterday and I totally forgot. So that's an area we're trying to work on, and the whole relationship thing. Oh, yeah, and I had a husband like your husband, and they're really hard to find, ladies.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. So, is everyone finding this just fabulous? This is great. If you were to look at this coming to town again, would each of you tell probably 5 girlfriends that they need to be here? Right?
I need to talk to Sharon, because she's in charge, and she kind of tells me just kind of where to go. So.
Yeah. No, this is absolutely phenomenal. We want to thank you for your participation in today's panel. And we'd like to ask in closing a final 2 questions of you guys. Audience member Brittany wants to know, if you were speaking to your 20-year-old self, what advice would you give yourself? And what makes you hopeful? Who wants to take it first? Nicky.
Why not? Okay.
I always want
Doing this, but okay. Whoa, that was like 3 decades ago. All right.
So your 20-year-old
Yeah, 20-year-old self. All right. So, before I start, I mentioned earlier, I had a journal, basically, trying to map whatever I want to do in my 20s and 30s and 40s, because I said that already. And really, truly, I mean, you know, I try to set goals and build my dreams. But here's the immediate thing that I can respond to that is finances. Start saving early. Health also. Health is your asset. Health is your wealth. Without your good health, you're not going to do anything fun things, right, in life. And build your dreams. You know, and all of this is going to lead to what we call self-awareness, basically. Because self-awareness is really key to success in anything in life. Who agrees with that? Self-awareness. You seek inward. A lot of people are trying to find themselves. And here's my response to that. Is you focus on yourself, you try to define who you are, right? By achieving this process of elimination. Who knows what I'm talking about? Is finding yourself who you are not. So, right? That's a different perspective. And work from there. Would you agree, Vivica?
Who you are not.
Right. Process of elimination.
Yeah. I call that a reason for something.
Right. Yeah. So, and I want to end this with this too, because I don't want to talk a lot about it. But money, while you're building your dreams, money is the byproduct of building your dreams, fulfilling your purpose, and doing what you really love to do passionately in life. So, here's to living in purpose and passion. God bless you all, guys.
For myself, I would say what I would tell my 20-year-old self was that have patience. Because I just thought everything was just supposed to happen so quickly, so fast. And to learn patience and to learn that things take time and learn a very important word. No. Right? No. It is okay to say no. You know, you can't be everything to everybody. You know, that it's okay to say no. When people come and they just, those takers again, that it's okay to say no. And then what was the second part?
What makes you hopeful?
What makes me hopeful? Like, we're having nights like tonight that I'm seeing women stick together, supporting one another, loving one another, and being kind. Yeah.
So I have actually been through, I just kind of alluded a little bit to losing my husband. I had the healthiest husband you've ever seen in your life. And well, this on the next day was terminal. So I would tell my 20-year-old self that you're going to go through some rough times, but you're going to have awesome girlfriends, an incredible family that's going to get you through it, and you're going to come out the other end, and you're going to be doing fascinating things. I am blessed to say I get to have a fascinating life. It's not perfect, and I'm not even going to sit here and pretend it is, but it's always fascinating. And that's what I would tell my 20-year-old self. And then what I'm hopeful for is, okay, ladies, we need to be involved. We really do need to be counted in. This is not just let's just travel the country and do this. I mean, I passionately believe this. I leave my daughter at home, as you know, being spoiled rotten by my parents, it's a whole different story. But we need to be counted in. We are 51% of the population, and we need our voices heard. And the time is now. You know, we've had all these movements, but I'm telling you, again, in a very bipartisan way, Washington, D.C. is a mess. It is a true mess. We need to get involved in the process. We need to vote twice, primary and general, and send good people to D.C., if not one of you, to help this country, because we have way too damn many men there, and it's kind of a mess.
Agreed. Yes, ma'am.
All right, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? I would say, slow down, enjoy the moment, enjoy the journey. Yes, and not everything is going to be it's okay. I would also say that spend more time developing relationships, networking, because people are important. We don't live in a vacuum. People are important to us. And that's one thing I've learned, because after I went through a career in jumping into a business as an education consultant, those relationships that I developed, I should have developed them much earlier, but that I developed are the ones that are been my greatest support network and help me be successful. So that's what I would say. The other one, hopeful. What are you hopeful for? Okay. I am hopeful that we can work together by just all of you being here. We know we can work together to bring up solutions. And I'm excited. And I know that we've had the movements throughout time. There's been movements, civil rights movements, right? The walkouts, you name it. But to see the youth now, whether you agree or disagree, but to see our youth thinking about things, coming together, getting involved, taking a stand, I'm glad to see that, because they are they're getting engaged, they're being involved, and that's important for our country, the future of our country.
I have one other thing I want to add in the hopeful area. So we kind of covered it, and we didn't really get through all the questions tonight, but equal pay is a huge I'm not political, but there's a group of men in a very bipartisan way, led by a man who actually is right in this area, who put in, to the detriment of his political career, I might add, unfortunately, an equal pay bill. So at least Washington is starting to pay attention to, we need equal pay. This is ridiculous. And the stats that I mentioned, 80-some cents on the dollar and 47 cents in stock options compared to a man's dollar. We're 51% of the population. We can't stand for that anymore. We need to support people and send them to Congress, because it really does have to be fixed kind of on a federal level, who are willing to support that and fix this. Because this is absurd. I mean, we have to stop doing this. And our daughters should not think they have to go in the work field, not equivalent to the man that's sitting next to them.
And they do the same amount of work.
If not more. And you know what, son? Our shoes are so expensive.
And our purses.
I'm going to say that. Did you have a question?
I would like to make a great announcement. In California, the SB 826, Women on Board, was passed by Governor Brown September 30th, which means mandates that women must be on board in public sector companies.
Yay!
Two other things I forgot to present. We are in a fire zone out here. Do you know that the SBA has an Economic Recovery Act where